just happened hours ago, folks. This comes from Damascus, Syria. Syria and Lebanon formally established diplomatic ties on Wednesday for the first time since independence 60 years ago, turning a new page in the relations between Beirut and its powerful neighbor. You say, well, what's that got to do with anything? Well, Syria is going to be a strategic place to keep your eye on, because we know, if you were here the other night when we were doing the statue and we were talking about how Daniel had the dreams and they were beast forms, well, the Grecian Empire, which represented by the brass, in David's dream, it was a leopard-looking beast with wings on it. And come to find out, when Napoleon died, his kingdom was divided into 4 areas. We then find out later on in Daniel, you remember when Daniel has the visitation from Gabriel, Gabriel helps reveal all this to him, that from this break off of those 4 will rise up what's called the little horn, and it tells us emphatically where he comes from. And you will find throughout the scripture that it points to this area is where the Antichrist reign is coming from. But this is way, way too far deep to even get into this. But what I want you to look at is, when you look at this map of Syria, in case you're not aware of this, look in the very bottom left-hand corner. Do you see what's there? Israel. That's right. You can see kind of the West Bank area, the Golan Heights and all that. Immediately above it is Beirut and Lebanon. And of course, right to the right is this huge area called Syria. Now, why is this important? Well, Syria's headquarters is Damascus. And I don't know how many remember just a few months ago, and I'm thinking it might have even been last year. I can't remember exactly. But there was an attack, a surprise attack, on the nuclear development area in Damascus. Y'all remember about that in Syria? And it was a surprise attack. It was done by the Israeli military, because they are the sharpest, the coolest, the most get-to-it, job-done army in the world. You don't mess with Israel. And but why is this all important, though, is because this is all going to be brought out in the light here. And what has happened today, just 6 hours ago, for the next few weeks as this develops, keep an eye on this, because Damascus is a major event that's going to take place right before the tribulation starts. And we know about this from the reading of Isaiah chapter 17. And in that, if you take the time to read and study the whole thing, and that you'll have to do that on your own, obviously, you'll find a lot of references to some really weird things going on. The chapter starts off saying this: "Behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall be a ruinous heap." Okay? The word there literally means a distorted rubbish. Okay? Now everybody look up here and say, well, so what? Well, the point is, Damascus, which is the capital of Syria, is known to be the oldest continuous inhabited city in the world. It has never yet been, as the passage we just read said, taken away from being a city. In other words, this is the longest inhabited city known to mankind. So what has happened here in this passage is that when it's made a ruinous heap, this is why some people believe that when Syria tries its attack on Israel, Israel will smack it, and most likely with a nuclear hit. So here's what I'm going to challenge you to do. And by the way, keep in mind, this has to be some type of future event, because it's not yet taken place. Okay, this is a 600-year BC prophecy. And most of these prophecies that deal with the tribulation and some of this stuff are from the Old Testament are all around 2,600 years old. Now, so here's what I'm going to challenge you to do. Do I need to do? Oh, it is? Okay. All right, thanks. Thank you, I don't know what's going on there. I'm tied up to something. Thank you. Is that better? Can you all see now? I got my head in the way. In other words, I had like a big fire thing coming in my head. Here's the deal. We don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to tell you something. Make a note of this. What is today? This is the 15th. Just pay attention. Somewhere in your little mind there, make a note. Keep an eye on Damascus and just watch. Watch what happens in the next, who knows. Matter of fact, the buzz right now going on in the secular media is that Israel will attack Damascus before the election. Okay, now I'm not saying that. The Bible doesn't say that, but I'm just saying that if you just type in Israel attacks Syria in your Google search tonight, you'll find all mass amount of secular sources, because they're thinking that might happen as a result of maybe trying to force the hand of the elections, at least for our elections. So who knows, folks? And I'm not saying that. Okay, that's just a little news flash, and that's nothing to put down as something dogmatic. But I am going to get into some dogmatic right now. By the way, before I do that, though, this is the king of Assyria. The king of Syria. This kind of amazing looking dude. You said, wait a minute, that looks like Hitler. Well, that is Hitler on the far left, but beside each picture, I mean, that almost looks like Hitler's son or something. And it's kind of eerie, isn't it? And this guy is probably one of the biggest haters of Israel that's alive right now. He makes Mahmoud Ahmadinejad look like a clown compared to this guy. Is literally a potential of one that is referred to in the Scripture. Obviously, we'll never